Blessed be, beautiful soul. My name is Samantha, if we've never met before, and I want to welcome you to my mystical online family. In today's video, I'm doing like a witchy Q&A. I was tagged last week by my dear friend Benty, who is the Norse witch on YouTube. And yeah, it's originally created, I think, by Ravenflower, the YouTuber. So I'm excited to kind of settle in, get cozy, grab yourself a cup of tea as well. And we can have a bit of a chat, go through the questions. You can reflect on maybe how you would answer them, and you can get to know me a little bit better as well. Okay, so question number 1, New Year's resolutions, do you believe in them? Yes, I do, but I think I see it more as setting intentions, and it's important not to set New Year's resolutions to the point where you are super hard on yourself, but quarterly. So the solstice and the equinoxes, the 4, as we go around the wheel of the year, I think it's a really beautiful time to set an intention for the next 3 months. That way you have like direction in where you're heading, because if we don't have any direction, we're kind of like coasting in neutral. And like I said, I like to do it every 3 months. I think it allows us to easily manifest and call in all the things that we want to throughout the year. And of course, the second question is why or why not? So I've already answered that, I guess. Question number 3, what is your favorite color? That's so interesting because I'm literally wearing it, which I never ever wear, purple. So you can see here, I love the color purple. When I was younger, because I've always sort of seen auras, I don't see them like a bubble around the person. I see them like, it looks like someone puts a colored filter or a lens over my eyes and the whole room will turn a certain color. And when I was little, when my friends would say like, oh, what's your favorite color? I could never answer. I didn't really have a favorite color, which I always thought was really weird. And it's not until I'm older I look back and I kind of understand why, because colors are tangible to me. Like they have like a feeling, and they each are very like unique in, I don't know, it's like it's this certain energy. It's really hard to explain. So my friends would be like, oh, my favorite color is pink, or my favorite color is blue, but their energies, like, they weren't my favorite. So my favorite color, I used to say to my grandma when she would ask me, is black. I used to love saying that my color, and she'd be like, black's not a color. She's like, don't you like green or brown or like pink or, you know, whatever. And yeah, so I would say my favorite energies are purple, green, and black. So purple because it's extremely mystic, it feels like mist, it's so dreamy, and it just feels so beautiful to interact with like violet and purple energy. Green feels like I'm being wrapped up in a blanket of moss. It's very moist and it feels like I'm on the forest floor. It's like super grounding and like healing. And then black is extremely protective, so I feel very, very safe, and I feel like I can melt into like my inner child when I'm wearing or surrounded by the color black. So that would be my answer. I know it probably is super strange, but it's taken me a very long time to wrap my head around the experience that I have with color. And just, I guess, as a soul, as Samantha here in this incarnation, color is a really big part of my journey. Okay, and the question number 4, I kind of answered. It says, does your favorite color hold magical or emotional meaning to you? Which I sort of already answered, but yes, I definitely do. Okay, so question number 5, do you use substances for divination or meditation? Flying oils, herbs, or alcohol? That is such a great question. So yes, I do. Alcohol I'm sober from, so I do not drink at all, but herbs, for sure. I drink a lot of mugwort tea and infusion. So mugwort does have a kind of like hypnotic energy to it when you consume it, that aids with meditation. But I only recently, like last week, had this dream where I was visited by blue lotus, and I was in the dream holding this blue lotus flower and knowing that I needed to consume it. So I woke up immediately and purchased some. So when I looked up what blue lotus was for, it's also to help with astral travel, divination, connecting with spiritual energies, things like that. And it does have that similar same kind of like meditative, expansive effect on the body. So So definitely do. And then when it comes to flying ointments, it's really funny that I'm just starting my baneful herb garden. So planting things like Atropa belladonna. I've got my datura flowers outgrowing, henbane seeds I've got, and aconite. So I definitely do plan on making some salves and making some flying ointments as well. So yeah, that's a really cool question. And then question number 6 is why or why not? So the reason why I use substances like herbs and why I'm going to use flying ointments and things like that, I think because it is extremely natural. It's something that all of our ancient civilizations, like all of the ancient shamans, seers, wise women, witches, mystics, people from all over the world used plant spirits and herbal allies to help in their connection with the other side, to connect with the spirit realms and do journeys with in ritual and shamanic work and all those sorts of things. So whether you're talking about, say, you know, the shamans in Peru and South America who use ayahuasca or peyote, cannabis, whether it's like mushrooms like psilocybin or Animata muscaria, you know, you have the shamans in Siberia who used to use those. Like there's just so many that you could list through. And then you've got the witches in Europe who used to make flying ointments with Atropa belladonna and a lot of the baneful herbs and things like that as well. So, you know, using these plant spirits to aid in spiritual connection and communication is something that humanity has always done. So I see no problem in it because it's just the way that we've always done things. And that to me is why these herbs are here to help us. But I definitely think it's something that you have to be very prepared to, because a lot of these things can be extremely poisonous and it's not pleasant, you know, like when I've never done ayahuasca, but I have friends that have, and it's like uncontrollable vomiting. And I'm sure there's people who have done mushrooms who know how horrible it can be if it's not done in reverence and in like deep respect to the plant spirit itself. But also sometimes the journey that the plant needs to take you on is a very underworldy, shadowy energy. And for instance, like, you know, datura, I've got a beautiful dried datura flower just over on my altar. If you consume these baneful herbs, you can have hellish psychosis and things like that. So it's definitely not something that I would recommend just jumping into out of nowhere. I think you have to be really ready to go on that journey and be very knowledgeable about what you're taking, what, even like when it comes to salves and flying ointments, which is, you know, balms and oils that are infused with certain plants that have like psychoactive properties, and you put them on your like pulse points and things like that. So yes, you have to be very, very aware of what you're about to do when you do these things. Number 7, what is your favorite part of your practice? I would say working with my ancestors. That would be my favorite part, is having spirit communication with the other side and having confirmations from spirit and really deepening my connection with loved ones that I've lost, but also connecting with my ancient ancestors, because they're such a huge part of my practice. I really feel like we are all here on earth to heal lineage and bloodlines, and you know, we are the future generations that our ancestors sacrificed so much for, that they fought so hard for. And I love looking at it that way, that I'm the living embodiment of their bloodline. And as I live and make choices and grow and heal, I'm also healing for them as well. So yeah, I really, really love working with my ancestors. It's such a beautiful part of my practice. Number 8, what is the least favorite part of your practice? Ooh. I would say dealing with negative entities and energies. I always say to people, like, it's a really easy thing to just go through life and not wake up to spirit, and to kind of live in those mundane realms where you just sort of are in the hustle of like grind and everyday life, and you don't see all of the mystical things that are out there, right? It's easier, but it's not like better. It doesn't make you happier. I think I'm the happiest version I've been since on my spiritual journey, but it's not easy. And dealing with negative entities and having to do wards and protection and just opening up to being such an open channel to spirit, it can be exhausting sometimes. And I wish that sometimes I have moments where I'm like, oh, it would be easy just to block all of it off and not do it anymore. But I think it's definitely worth it in the long run. So yeah, that would probably be my least favorite, is being super affected by energies and having to make sure that energetic hygiene is a big part of my everyday world. Number 9, how do you feel your practice has grown over time? Oh, that's a really good question. You know, my practice, when I started, I was Wiccan. That's how if you've never met me before. So when I first started, I was very young. I found Wicca, and it was kind of like the thing that really called to me and got me onto the path of witchcraft and things like that. But I was very close-minded. So I would say the biggest changes in between back then when I was a lot younger and now at 28 is I'm extremely open-minded. I don't have a very set view on the universe. I'm so open to all the mystery, and I just think I will forever be a student at life, and the universe's humble student always. I do not profess to be a master at anything. I just kind of am a soul on a journey, where back then, when I was doing Wicca, I saw everything very black and white, like there are rules to the universe and there's a threefold law and blah, blah, blah. And I also was very closed off to, you know, other ways of like energy, for instance, like the chakra system and angels and things like that. I remember a friend of mine who did Reiki was like, oh yes, like talking about Archangel Michael and this and that. And I was like, well, I don't believe in angels because I'm Wiccan. Oh God, so embarrassing. Like I cringe when I think back to some of the conversations I used to have with people. And I probably, when I did witchcraft, I practiced very like correspondences. So like there's a YouTube video, even just from like 2 or 3 years ago, where I do a spell jar and I just get the correspondences and put them in a jar. You know, where now the magic and the witchcraft that I do is a lot more energetic, and it's not really using any physical tools. Yes, I do spirit dolls, and you know, I create vessels for spirit and talismans and stuff, but the actual magic I do is a lot more just my energy and my power. You know, I'm pushing out my energy and using my energy to create change. So even within my witchcraft practice, it's hugely different. It used to be just so like, oh, I'm doing a spell jar and putting all these things in there and it's done. Where now, could still do a spell jar, could still put all those corresponding things in there, but there would be like my energy going into it. There is like breath work. There is like me calling in my power. Like I'm a lot more open to all of that. So yeah, my practice has changed immensely in so many different ways, as it should really. Like I think we all should be moving and growing. And if your practice has been the same for 20 years, like take the invitation to break open the box of your set practice and how you do things, and get uncomfortable and learn and grow. Like that would be my number one thing. We are never a master of everything or of anything. Let's be students to the universe and be humble and just say that we have so much to learn and we'll never ever stop. Like that's my whole goal in life. I just want to keep learning forever from the universe. So question number 10, is there a show or movie that inspires you? Oh, definitely. I would say the things that inspire me the most are shows on mediumship and spirits. So things like, oh, it's going to sound silly, but like Long Island Medium and Tyler Henry. When I was awakening to my psychic abilities and on my spiritual path, those shows validated the things that I was going through so much. I felt mental, crazy. I felt so alone on my journey, and seeing these people, and they often talk about like, oh, when I was a child this used to happen to me, and like, you know, them saying like, I used to see spirits in my bedroom and I used to experience this, and I'd just be sitting there like sobbing, because I finally felt like, oh my god, there's people out there like me. So I finally felt validated. But also like gardening shows, things like it sounds so stupid, but like Gardening Australia and things like that, they just make me feel so like motivated to get out into my garden, infuse my energy into my garden. So I love that. And another thing that really inspires me, which is also going to sound really corny, is I love the show Heartland, which is that like soapy drama from Canada that's all about horses, and horses are like my shadow animal. So I have a lot of trauma around horses from an accident when I was younger, but it's really crazy that that accident, I've also had like past life encounters where a past life of mine died on horseback. That energy is this really big link that I'm healing in this lifetime, because I love horses, but I'm like mortally terrified of them. So yeah, when I watch Heartland, and also because horses are such mystical, incredible creatures, it really feels very healing to me. And I love that they are out in Canada and you get to see the beautiful mountains, and there's almost like a spiritual undertone throughout the whole show. So it's my like put it in the background kind of movie. Number 11, do you have a familiar? Yes, I have 2. So I have 6 animals altogether, and I love each and every one of them equal, but there are 2 animals that came to me in extremely like mystical circumstances. One is my cat Meowsy, and she was a stray that I rescued. I'm not going to get into the full story because it's too long. And then second is Khan, my beautiful little Devon Rex, and he also came to me in a very, like, I dreamt of him before I owned him, but also the very first day that I actually brought him home, we went to bed that night and I astral projected while I was holding him. So turned around and saw the 2 of us laying in bed, because he was sleeping on my chest, because it was in the middle of winter and he has no fur. So he was asleep on my chest. I'll show you a photo of what he used to look like when he was a kitten. And like I said, very, very first night. So I turned around, saw us both in bed, realized that this was an astral projection, and then proceeded to go outside and came into contact with like a goddess entity kind of thing. It was very intense. It's probably the most vivid, real, wild thing that I've ever had. I had to like call in my guides because it was a very scary goddess. And when I returned to my body, like the whole bedroom was white and I was wide awake and my eyes were like blinding white. So it was a very visceral, real experience. And he came along for the journey with me. So he's such a little healer. He like will run over to people in the house when they're not feeling good and like curl up on them and purr. And he's just like an angel sent to earth, I swear. Anyway, I could brag about my cat all day. Hello, my baby. Guys, this is Khan. I have been bragging about you all afternoon, my love. I've been telling everyone on YouTube how amazing you are, how you came and astral projected with me, and you're just such a healer. And you're probably stuffing up my microphone, so it might be a bit scratchy, but everyone on my channel now kind of knows about you, and I think it's perfect that you came down to visit us, so thank you. Question number 12, would you recommend any YouTube channels? Definitely. There's so many YouTubes that I could recommend. I guess witchy ones first up, the Norse Witch, definitely go and watch Bente. The Green Witch, Annabelle, she's got really beautiful videos that are super like relaxing to watch. The cinematography is beautiful, and she's a herbalist and a green witch, obviously. So I love watching her videos when I want to like chill out. The Witch's Cookery is another really good person I'm subscribed to that I love their videos as well. One of my favorite YouTubers that I watch is Wendy, and her channel is called The Unexpected Gypsy, and she does these beautiful videos that are like super relaxing, and they're like art journal prompting, and she's an artist and she does van life, but she's over in the UK, so it's like really nostalgic for me. Like it feels like I'm watching a piece of my heart whenever I watch her videos, because they're just so like, again, beautiful, with like videos of outside and inside in her studio. So she makes me feel really inspired as an artist. I love Danu's Irish Herb Garden. That's a really, really good YouTube channel, a very knowledgeable, wise soul. And I love also because it's in Ireland, I get to see the Irish countryside, and that makes my heart so happy as well. It's a very like nostalgic, homely feeling to me because I have so much ancestry that's from those lands. And of course, I have to say the Guided by Gaia podcast, which is me and my best friend Ella, who's Empath Ella. We have a YouTube channel where we upload some of our podcast episodes in a video format, so you can see our faces over there. Lastly is Thonia, which is created by Circle of Wolves. Jessica is one of my favorite artists, and I have her Pythonic tarot deck, and she shared her music YouTube with me, and I wanted to share it with you because it's filled with the most magical, intense, hypnotic tracks that she has alchemized, and a lot of them are odes to the baneful plant spirits and the Queen of Poisons. This one is for aconite, and yeah, it's just really powerful to watch and listen to. I'll link everyone down below. Number 13, name something you must do daily for your mental, emotional well-being or for your practice. That's a really good question. I would say there's a few things that when I don't do them, I feel extremely unbalanced. And if I do them, I have a really good start to the day. Number one, making my bed every morning, getting up, I'm not like fancy, just like making everything smooth and neat, going and having a shower, like cleansing my aura, cleansing my body, sacred body adornment, picking the jewelry that I want to wear that day also is really important to me. And then finally, I would say having a cup of tea and going outside into my garden. All of those sorts of steps really help me get into the right mindset as I'm like starting the day. 14. What is something that started as an obstacle but you now see as a blessing? I'd probably say my overthinking mind. So when I opened up to spirit, had a really big spiritual awakening in 2016, I'd say. My overthinking mind was completely crippling and shut down so much like natural ability to connect with the other side, because I was constantly overthinking all the signs, overthinking my connection, and doubting everything that I experienced. I used to joke that a spirit could literally be in front of me in a full body form and I'd be like, nah, I was probably imagining it. Like, no, it doesn't exist. That wasn't real. It was so bad, and it took me years and years, and it's still an ongoing thing where I have to check myself and come out of my mind and come into my heart space. But the blessing out of this really critical Virgo brain is that now there is not a shadow of doubt in my mind, and I do not doubt anything that comes my way. I'm so anchored and so like absolute with my connection with spirit, because I was the biggest critic ever. Come out of the head and into the heart space. You've got to come out of the head, because if you allow yourself to keep going into your mind, you will never ever be able to experience the full message. If you always need validation that, is this real, is it not, just believe that it's real. Just believe it and see what happens. If it makes you happy, awesome. Number 15, do you prefer YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok? Definitely YouTube would be my number one. And I would say the reason is because YouTube, people are interested in getting to know you. They're interested in long form content, where on all the other social platforms, it's quite like scrolling really quick. People aren't in the mindset of like, hey, I want to sit down for 15 to 20 minutes and watch this video and have it kind of like a TV show, almost like playing in the background. Then it's not on the list, but I would say Patreon, because it makes creating and being a creator like on YouTube a way sustainable for the future. And I love that you can build an even more intense community on Patreon. Then I would probably say equal footing, probably TikTok then, because TikTok's algorithm is incredible. Then Instagram, then Facebook. But if you'd asked me years ago, I'd be like, Instagram's the best. No. I've got an amazing community there and lots of friends in Instagram, but the actual app itself, like, not a fan. And Facebook. What do you feel is missing from our witchy community? I would probably say acceptance, because the first thing that dings into my head is that there's way too much gatekeeping and people trying to tell people like how to do things, and it's all very like closed-minded. So what is missing, I would say, is open-mindedness and acceptance, and literally just minding your own beeswax. You know what I mean? If somebody's practice triggers you and you feel the need to go and have a tyrant about like, that's not right or this is right, like, oh, stick in your own lane. Who freaking cares? That person is not in your coven, not in your life, not in any way, shape or form affecting you. Let them do them. You know, there are billions of people on this earth, and if you try to gatekeep something, like, oh Lord, creating more stress and more negativity in your life. Like, if that person wants to go and do all these things that you don't agree with, let it blow up in their face. Guess what? That's how they're going to learn. You know, you learn from your mistakes. You know, they go and hex someone and it blows up in their face. Let them go do that. They want to manifest on the new full moon, not the new moon. Let them go and do that. Who gives a flying F? You're not going to believe this. I just had to pause the video because the postie came. In here somewhere is blue lotus flowers. There you go. So yes, I do use herbs for meditation. So yeah, I think that open-mindedness and just being more accepting of other people's pathways and just letting it go. Who cares? Number 17, how much space do you use for supplies and spell work? When it comes to storage, I would say there is 2 to 3 really large shelving units that I have all of my stuff stored. But then upstairs in my home, I have really large bookshelves that are filled with herbs and stuff like that for the herbs that I consume, the things that I drink and use in my everyday life. Number 18, how many altars do you have in your home? I have 1. So, okay, so I'll just count them out. I have devotional altars to different deities and goddesses. So Hecate, Lady Isis, my ancestors, and then I would say I have 2 working altars. So one where I'm filming right now, which is where I do my doll work, and it has all my sacred items around it, and then my actual desk altar, which I'm currently doing up. Oh, okay, so and then I also have one for the Kaliark. So I have 6 and I am actually working on some outdoor altars as well. But you know what, you can never have too many sacred spaces and altars and devotional places. So we only have a few questions to go, but number 19 is, what is your favorite Sabbat? And I would probably say Samhain, because before I was a practicing pagan, before I had my spiritual awakenings, I posted this image on my Facebook, and I remember it so clearly. It was this day where I was really grieving and feeling just so much grief towards losing my nan. And I remember I posted this image of her and my cousins on my Facebook. That must have been like in 2010 or 2011, something like that. So flip forward to really the first year that I was a practicing pagan. It was the first year that I started celebrating the Sabbat, started celebrating and doing ritual. And I wanted to do on Samhain this beautiful ritual honoring my grandmothers who had passed away. So I had one photo of my dad's mum, and I was trying to find the photo of my mum's mum. So I knew I had it printed off somewhere in the house, and I could not find it. All day I searched everywhere, high and low, in every bedroom. I could not find this picture, and I was devastated. I've got to be honest, like I really wanted to celebrate this ritual. So I did it, and I just like wrote my nanny's name on a piece of paper and just sort of like did the ritual anyway, and it was really beautiful. So I must have did that at like 6 o'clock at night. So flash forward to like 11 p.m. I went on Facebook for the first time that day because I really tried to like stay off my phone that day, and I opened it up. There was a notification which was a memory, and the image that popped up was the photo I had been looking for all day. 5-6 years before I even was a practicing pagan, I was in tune with the energy of Samhain, with the energy of my ancestors who were in spirit in the Summerlands. That veil thins on that day, whether we are aware of it or not. Our ancestors are around us, whether we're doing ritual, whether we're practicing paganism or not. It is just a astronomical day where we are able to like use our intention and connect with our ancestors so easily. And I love that because it really validated my path, and it was just such a beautiful experience and gift, I feel, from past Sam to future Sam. And I was just sobbing, seeing my nan's eyes looking back at me because I had been searching for that photo all freaking day. So yeah, I absolutely love that. Question number 20. Do you prefer tarot, runes, oracle decks, or pendulums? I would say I started with oracle decks, and I would always say that they were my favorite, but in the last couple of months, I've definitely been shifting away from not using oracle decks as much. I actually use my own divination, like bone oracle, more than anything. And I don't really use my pendulum that much, and I don't use runes. So I would probably have to say the tarot. Number 21, are you out of the broom closet? Yes, I definitely am. I would only say maybe 2019 was when I would have considered myself very like out of the broom closet, because even in 2019 I still hadn't told a lot of the clients that I had at work. I would never have really posted about it on my main social media or on my work page at the time, because I'm a hairdresser by trade, and that's what my original business was. So in 2019 was when I started being very open with people. So there was like certain clients who were very, very Christian, who had like very extreme views on witchcraft and the devil and all those sorts of things. And obviously I don't interact with the devil, but I did not want to tell them. I didn't want to be real and sort of share my truth with them, because I was really scared that they were going to leave and that I would lose business. But I needed to, and yes, I did lose business because they did leave like I thought that they would. But the beautiful thing was, as they left, instantly I drew in new customers and new clients who were in alignment with me, who shared those beliefs or those views, who were very witchy and very spiritual. And it was almost like holding on to those old clients is holding on to a type of energy, and it keeps you back from experiencing people who are way more in alignment with you. And I think that's a beautiful reflection if you also are very scared about going out and telling people that you are a witch, or being very open about it because you're scared of losing people in your life. I would say to you that yes, it hurts losing people because of them not being in alignment with you, but it probably in the long run is going to be so much more beneficial for you when you allow those people to leave your life, and it will open up space for people who are your soul tribe, people who are in alignment with you and have the same views and opinions and beliefs as you. And the last question is, who are you going to tag in this video? So I had to think about it, and I'm going to tag Marky Wing, the Hazel Witch, and Unicorn Pies, who is another Aussie witch here on YouTube. So I'm going to tag those 3 accounts down below, and you can go and check out all the links and find more information on me and my website, all my offerings, Patreon. It's all going to be linked down below on all my socials. Thank you so much for being here with me as I answer these questions. It was so much fun. I think I might do some Q&As in the future because it seems a bit more natural than just talking about myself. When people ask questions, it's like, oh, this is something that someone wants to know. So yeah, I would be interested to see if you also have any of the same responses as me, or if there's anything that questions you want to ask that maybe I could do another Q&A in the future. I don't know. I'll talk to you later in the next video. Sending you lots of love, blessings, beautiful soul. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much.